now we have already our guest speaker, our dear sister, Wadia Khouri from Lebanon. She's been friend with us with IFC, and also she came to Indonesia. Did you come to Indonesia, Wadia? Oh no, you haven't. Okay, not yet. Okay, not yet. And oh, suaranya pecah. Okay. Can you hear my voice clearly, friends? Okay. Okay, good. Okay. So, where is my headset? Okay, no headset. Okay, I just like to introduce Wabella, and then our session will be led by our friend Wendy Wijawadi. Itu kelihatan kamu. My wife is also here. Itu Oh, I think now it's better. All right. So I'd like to introduce Wadia. Wadia is our friend. She's been part of Initiative of Change, the global movement of so-called Initiative of Change, and she's from Lebanon. She's associate professors in Lebanon University and many other university. She's also concerned about education's pluralism, and she's committed to bring change and also peace in Lebanon. And the reason why we invite Wadia is because the world now is looking at Palestine and Israel, and in Indonesia also. I think the whole week since last week and until today, all the media, everyone is going to the street to show the empathy to the Palestine. Even last night, I went to the mall, and there are some corners, people who collect donation for the Palestine. So it shows a lot of empathy, a lot of movement in our country. But at the same time, we are in Indonesia, especially myself, and maybe many others, are not fully understood what is going on there. We might heard or read some articles about Palestine or about Israel, and many of us in Indonesia, we got trapped into the hoax or into the false news about what happened in Israel and Palestine. And Lebanon is one of the closest neighboring country. Is that right, Wadia? Yes. And I think Wadia is the right person to share with us, as she speaks Arabic, as she is coming from the regions, and also she understood closely about what happened in Arab region, I think. And I'd like to invite our dear moderator, Wendy Wijarwadi, to lead us. And I just like to inform you that our dear speaker, Bai from the Philippines, she said she got blackout since last 3 hours ago. So she said she's not sure to join us if the electricity still blackout until today. So without further ado, I'd like to invite our friend Wendy Wijarwadi. And for those, so I'd like to unmute everyone except Wendy and speaker, so that we will have a convenience session this afternoon. By the way, here we are 2:42, and Wadia, you are what time? I'm not sure. Maybe you are.
I will share a secret with you.
Okay.
We mixed up times.
Okay.
And that's because Mohan Bhagwandas called me a half an hour ago that 1 hour ago that I knew it's now. I thought it's not later.
Oh my! Oh my! I'm so Sorry for that.
We are
Okay.
back. We are not forward.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you are
It's
further. Okay, you
yeah.
are
It's now
further.
10:43 a.m.
Oh, right. All right. So, Wendy Wijarwadi, over to you.
Uh, so I couldn't get rid of my daughter. So sorry for this. Good afternoon, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So my voice is clear enough, Huda?
Yes, very clear.
Okay. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening for those who may come from a different time region. It is my honor to be here to host the discussion, to facilitate the discussion about this very heated topic in the last 2 or 3 weeks, the escalated conflict. So sorry for the small interruption. So I'm glad to be here today to meet all of you, especially the speaker, Sister Wadia Khori. I think maybe this is the first time I met her in face-to-face, virtual face-to-face. So nice meeting you. And when Huda first contacted me about this topic, it is a very challenging one because we know, all of us, that what happened now in Gaza Strip, in Jerusalem, in West Bank, and I think it's much better for us to learn more and to listen more from expert, or maybe from the person who know more about the topic. And Sister Wadia Khori will share with us about her perspective about the conflict, and also as an Indonesian, as a citizen of the world, what we can do to make this situation better, and what we can do to help our brothers and sisters in Palestine. So before going to the discussion, I would like to share a bit about my experience with this topic. So I graduated my master from Minnesota in the US, and I have one experience which is really changing my perspective on this topic. Before I went to the US, I always thought that Palestine and Israel is a religious conflict between Jews and Muslim. So Jews mean supporting Israel, and Jews mean condemning, or maybe they hate Palestinian. But then when I went to Minnesota for 2 years, I really had a very constructive, it's very different experience, because for the first time in my life, I saw by myself my Jewish friend did a march, like in my university, the big march, and supporting Palestine and condemning what Zionist Israel did in Palestine. So it's kind of, oh, so it's not really about Jews versus Muslim. So maybe it's kind of political agenda or some kind of that. Even I had a professor, which is a Jewish professor, and she told me that I am a Jewish. I had a Jewish ancestor, but according to Jewish friend, I'm not Jewish anymore because I'm too liberal and I'm supporting Palestine. So this is kind of unique perspective I got from the US, and here we would like, and I would like to learn more from Wadia Khori about the topic. I discussed with Huda like 3 days ago, and maybe I have at least four questions in my mind that we may need to discuss. Number one is like, what is really the root of eternal conflict in Jerusalem? Because we know maybe this is the oldest conflict in the world, like happened like 1,000 years ago, since the era of Abraham, and then Yusuf, Musa, Dawood, Isa, and then until the Prophet Muhammad. And then why history of violence repeatedly occur in Jerusalem or in Middle East? And number three, was it really about religious conflict or simply land acquisition or politic issues, because I read from some articles that Jewish people took over the land because they believe that the land is granted by God for them, like promised land. So in my perspective, like in this modern era, it's kind of too ridiculous. We claim a land without having a certificate. Like God, it is our land because God told us to do so, even though I don't have the certificate from the UN or etc. And the last question is maybe like what we can do as a human, as an Indonesian, as a citizen of the world, to make the world better place to stay. So with honor, I would like to please Sister Wadia Khoury to share her perspective about the topic and share with us her experience with the conflict. So time is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I feel really humbled to have been suggested by my friend Huda. And thank you for this introduction and the questions. They are very, very important. First of all, I'm not an expert in this kind of topic, but I am an eyewitness who have been living here for all my life and taking on the consequences of this conflict since day one of my life. I don't want to also start on a negative note, but there's a joke here that says, if you think that you understood the conflict of the Middle East, it means I didn't speak clearly, because no one is able to understand all the dimensions. And the reason is not that it is so difficult, but it is multidimensional. And we cannot live in all the eras of time and in all the angles of the conflict at the same time. We are limited as human beings, but we try to understand. And the more we are united to God in our prayer and in our thoughts, the more we see in many dimensions. And that's what I would try to share. Okay. The first question is very important. What is the root cause of this problem? And this is the base. Once we try to understand and we really want to understand, it will help us to process the things better. Some people, as you said, think that this is a Jewish-Muslim conflict, or it is a Jewish-Palestinian conflict, and that's it. While if we see in history, it evolved. And one person from India, whose name is Om Prakash Bagaria, I don't know if some of you know of him, I met him in South India. He once called me when I was doing Action for Life in India and East Asia. And he said, out of the blank, he didn't introduce himself or say, why is he saying it? He said, you're from the Middle East. I said, yes. And then he said, do you know why people in the Middle East have conflict all the time? I thought he will speak now land, economy, religion, whatever. And then he said a very, very simple question. And that's what I always repeat to my students and whoever I meet. And I think he's the wisest person on earth. He said, because you always speak about God instead of speaking to God. That's it. That's a Hindu person. He's not Jewish, he's not Muslim, he's not Christian, and he gave the whole formula. We continue using the name of God to nourish this conflict. And then he gave me an example. He said, let's compare, and we don't have the right to, but okay, as humans, let's compare God to an apple. Everybody has the right to come and experience this apple. Taste, smell, touch, just be beside and have his own and her own experience. The problem happens when The problem happens when the people stop others from experiencing God. And they start telling their followers, God is red, God is silky, God is sugary, God is etc., etc. And they form this layer around the apple, and they don't let anyone else come and experience. And then the followers behind, they start having these conflicts. God is red. The other one says, what? You're an infidel. You're a total ignorant. And then he kills him. No, God is sugary. And that's how it happens. So we have a very limited knowledge of God, and we try to impose it. More than the first sin of not knowing God and not letting others know freely, we impose what we know, which is very limited, and we cause conflicts. And this is the same thing. To tell you an opposite story, I share with you a recent article I read in the newspapers of how religious people used to live together before this conflict in the best way possible. And these are the Sufi Muslims and the Christian hermits of the Middle East. And the article is written by both a bishop called George Khudr and a Muslim sheikh called Hani Fahas. And they speak about the experience during the Ottoman occupation of this land, that because of persecution, they used to live in the grottos in Mount Lebanon. And before that, there was no border. There was no Lebanon, Palestine, Syria. They were all called Great Syria. And they used to live together. And because their experience of God was so profound and so real, they were never speaking about God. They were just sharing bread. And in moments of prayer, they would cry out of depths of the spirituality. Because language is so limited in comparison with the experience of God. Humanly, language rose and appeared thousands of years after humans appeared. They evolved. And religion and the feeling that we belong to a higher wisdom and to a creator was sculpted in us since day one of our existence. So we saw the natural phenomena, we saw the earthquakes, we saw the storms, and we knew that we are vulnerable and we depend on a higher being who is God. And language came much later. So how do we limit God in words? And that's how we create conflicts. We need to experience. And all people of the Middle East who experience this reality with God know this truth. Whoever dwells in God neither gets tired, neither tires others. Okay, so we create peace around us, and people see peace in us. No need for a conflict. And before speaking directly about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and what caused the re-emergence of it now, I tell you a personal experience in 2006. When Israel and Hezbollah of Lebanon had a very big war, and it lasted 33 days. It was a huge nightmare for us. I was 26 years old, and I lost a very, very dear friend. From another friend's family, 11 people died. And in two places, we own land in Lebanon, we plant, etc. Okay, I'm a university professor, but my father and brother, they take care of the lands, and they are agricultural engineers. They threw the tanks from the airplanes. There are two big territories until now we cannot use. So it's a huge loss. And by the end of this conflict, my friend who is in the Red Cross was going to a region in the West Bekaa and accompanying a convoy of people who ran away from the south of Lebanon because the bombing was really heavy. And it was after 6 hours of negotiation with the United Nations to leave securely and come to my region, which is in the center of Lebanon. Nevertheless, once they reached about 10 kilometers from my city, they start being bombed. They bombed a car after another and caused a massacre. And my friend had a son of 4 years old and a son of 3 months old. And once he put an injured man in the ambulance and ran to the entrance of a building because they were coming closer, he was hit by a small rocket by these spy MK planes, and his body flew and he fell to the ground on his head and he passed away. I was so full of hatred, of bitterness, and I want Israel to vanish and Palestine and whatever, like nothing to remain, because maybe Huda didn't tell you, I'm a Christian. And for me, why are we supposed to continue reconciling people while they hate each other so much? And they all this, and they created the conflict. Why do we die with them? And it took me 2 months to release the first tear. I didn't cry. And I was all the time saying, God, if you exist, give me a reason, give me a meaning to what happened. And then at some moment, I realized what the imam and the pastor said. Maybe you know about them from Nigeria. They said, if you hate, you are drinking poison and you are expecting others to die. And that's what I was doing. And then I said, please give me a meaning. And on that day, I realized that the supernatural way exists and God is willing to give us the solution if we listen, if we start speaking about him and we start speaking to him. On that day, it was the beginning of the school year, and I'm a teacher. I was not at universities yet. I was still in schools, and I was going for the first day and feeling so tired because of depression and of sadness and all what happened during that summer of bombing. And right before arriving to the school in Beirut, not in my hometown, my friend's brother passed in front of my car. There is 1 million cars in Beirut, and from all the cars, he passed in front of my car. He turned very peacefully to me and he waved. And among his 6 brothers and sisters, this is the only one who looks exactly like him. And for me, it's like, oh my God, that's him. Oh, no, that's Shukri. That's his brother, not Michael, my friend. And I continued to the school after waving to him, even though he works on night shifts in the pharmacy. What is he doing at 8 a.m. in Beirut? Until now, I don't know. Later, he said he was doing a paperwork. And then I came to my office and I realized that Michael, my friend, 3 hours before being killed, he said in the Red Cross Center, "Dear God, I wish I could do something to stop this war." And then he died 3 hours later. For me, it was the total loss. It was nothing. It was God betrayed him. He died. He left his family. That was my human explanation of it. But then I realized that he died 3 hours before. And then the resolution 1701 that stopped the war happened 3 days later and came into, actually it came 3 hours later and was put in practice 3 days later. So the war stopped. And for me, it was absolutely clear that my friend did not only die physically, but he fought a spiritual war and he won. And the proof is that first, his family is taken care of. He is considered a martyr by the Lebanese army, even though he's not a Lebanese army, he's a Red Cross. His wife was given a really good job in a bank, even though she didn't have any chance before that. And now his brother is taking care of the children as if he is the father. And for me, I didn't see all that. I only saw that God betrayed his prayer. He was killed. And I didn't realize that it's not only in the body that we live. It is far beyond that. And that's what I wanted to start with you, that it's not just a linear conflict between, as the world points it in the media, some radical Muslims and some settlers. There are many components in this conflict and many components in the reconciliation. And of course, with Israel now, we don't speak about reconciliation, because as long as a side is stabbing you or putting a knife in your body, you don't start speaking about reconciliation. But what I want to emphasize on is that every entity in the Middle East is in conflict with itself. So Muslims, between Sunnis and Shia, there is a conflict. Between Sunnis, Fatah and Hamas, there is a conflict. Between Christians and Muslims, there is a historic conflict here. So the start is to have these reconciliations be inside each community so that we know how healthily, not sickly, we can build bridges as convenient with others for the sake of the common good of all people. So now it is very early to speak about any reconciliation with especially Israelis. And of course, we should differentiate between Israelis and Jews and Zionists and non-Zionists. If you look with me at the many photos of my grandfather, who was born in 1900, okay, 1900. He is born 1900. My father is now 92 years old. I'm the youngest of my siblings, and okay, I have a very old father, but that's nice too. My grandfather always showed me photos of his friends, Jewish friends from Haifa, and they used to come here to my house here where I am now, and the upper floor to celebrate because they used to do the commerce together, and there was no conflict at all. And he was always saddened that since 1919 with the Balfour Agreement, and that's a turning point in the Middle East where the Prime Minister of Great Britain offered our land to the Jews from where? From Eastern Europe and other
Ada
parts.
kerjaan sih, ada diskusi.
Yeah, there's okay. So imagine that. Okay, so imagine that someone from the Philippines comes and offer Indonesia to India or to Indians. Like, there's no word to describe it. It's out of logic. Jews from Palestine have always been there and could continue to be there legally as anyone else. But then having a colonial side who wants to get rid of the Jews and the headache of some of the Jews that were causing in Europe with their ghettos and with the kind of commerce, closed commerce that they were doing, they threw them here. And also to unload the European conscience from the persecution of Jews, because many of them were driven into concentration camps, etc. Instead of finishing a conflict there and doing reconciliation and healthily negotiate how some Jews who would like to come back to the land of Palestine, there is no Israel, there is the people of Israel, no nation of Israel. That's historically. So instead of doing that, and everybody had the right to come and pay for a property and become national like anybody else, they offered it. And if you read the books of Father Elias Shakur, who is now a bishop in the Holy Land, and of Father Emil Shufani, I'm speaking about Christian names of priests and bishops, to say that I'm not talking about biased people who are radical Islamists or Jewish Orthodox people. No, people who are looking at equal distance from both sides, and they say that the British came to their homes and forced them to leave or told them there is a conflict coming, you have to be safe, and moved them away. And when they insisted, why are you keeping us away? They came back and they saw there are settlers occupying their homes. So it is a big joke and a big lie that they say Jews bought all the land. It is true that there was a movement of buying land since the 1890. It went on until 1947 when the Nakba happened, and by the force of the British troops, people were forced out of their homes. They did not sell. Some people sold, but many didn't. And they came here to Jordan, to Egypt. They became refugees. Some went back, like the families of these two people, the priest and the bishop. They insisted on coming back and they lost part of their families. They were killed on the road, but they went back and they are refugees, not in their mother hometown, but in other places. So this leads us to how the conflict now happened. Some of these people that refused to become refugees in Lebanon, in Syria, in Palestine, or in Egypt or in Jordan, they went back and they were given some homes. Some of them, they were given homes in East Jerusalem in the neighborhood of Sheikh Jarrah. So they are not originally from Sheikh Jarrah, but they are refugees in their own land, in Palestine. And every person has the right to settle, to feel some security. And if you follow, for example, the story of the child Muhammad al-Kurd, who is now a young man your age, you see that he never enjoyed any peace of mind in his life, all the time having legal suits saying that your home belongs to Jewish settlers. And then his father built an annex to the house because there are like 17 members of the family now. And they came and seized it. So he has settlers next door, insulting them every day. These settlers are hated even by the Jews, the liberal Jews of Israel. And you have to live every day not knowing whether they will insult you, whether they will close your front door, whether they will bring some people to demonstrate in front of your door to say, go away, Palestinians, go where, vanish. Here in Lebanon, we have a very clear stand towards Palestine. We are very, how do you say, like we have some stress towards the Palestinians who live in Lebanon as refugees because of the history of unease between us. Because when they came as refugees, and with time, they started to be infiltrated by radical Islamist groups. And later on, they thought that the most vulnerable and easy to remove part is the Christians of Lebanon. So they started to enter Christian villages and slaughter people like Daesh or ISIS used to do. And that created a big tension between us. And Christians, for the first time of their lives, started to be armed, to have weapons. And when the tension was at the peak, the war broke, the civil war. It's because of the Palestinian element in Lebanon, because many Muslims sided by the Palestinians, and some liberal Muslims and the Christians were on the other side. The Christians were accused of being isolated, not willing to help solving the problem of the Middle East and the problem of Palestine, but wanting to be a neutral country like Switzerland. And they said, you are lunatics. Do you think you are in Europe? And the other side, most of the Muslims, especially the Sunnis, sided with the Palestinians and contributed in some massacres. But of course, they were backing a rightful cause, but in the wrong way. And until now, it is very clear for Christians of Lebanon, we back the righteous cause of Palestine to the bone till the end. Israel, as it is now, is not a continuance of the Old Testament. It is a deformation of the Old Testament. These are not the real Jews. And we want Palestinians to have the right of going back to their homes. In fact, many of them still have their keys of their original homes here in Lebanon. So we understand both sides of the conflict, how a displaced refugee can become a source of tension, but also we realized after 15 years of war, civil war, that we needed to find the most open-minded and to negotiate with, so that through them we can reach an understanding with the least open-minded. I have a book here by a Christian militia woman. If I was her age, I would have done the same. She wanted to defend her region in front of the Palestinian guerrillas that were taking over and slaughtering Christians, because they thought, we terrorize them, they go to Canada and the US, we take their land instead of the land we lost in Palestine. This didn't work, because we're not going anywhere. But she says that, like in every community of Lebanon, we tried to save our existence. And later on, we started to go into these games of power, and we were in conflict amongst each other as Christian. While the Muslim Shia of Lebanon also went in conflict between the Hezbollah and the Amal, because they didn't agree on how to support or not support the Palestinian side. The Sunnis themselves were split between the pro-Palestinians and the communists, who are not really in the same stand as the Islamists, but also had their own conflict. Some even bombed the refugee camps of the Palestinians. But in this book of this guerrilla Christian militia woman, she said that at the end of the conflict of the civil war, she was taking a monk, a Christian monk, to chant to the people in the prison to help them recover some hope. And when he stopped chanting the religious chant, they heard at the other side of the cell a guy singing in his Palestinian accent, "Mom, I miss you, my mom." He was saying, "Ya yumma, mushtaq lik ya yumma." And she realized, oh my God, I dealt with this guy as if he is a monster, a terrorist monster. And he's singing to his mom. What happened so that we don't realize that we can speak heart to heart and soul to soul? Again, it's because we were speaking about God and not to God. Okay. That's what I wanted to say until now. If you have questions, or if I didn't respond to all your questions, Wijarwadi, you can ask me and I will be more specific.
Thank you, Wadia. Hi, Wen. Yeah, maybe we need to have a brief.
Thanks a lot, Wadia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When maybe we need to have a short conclusion of what she said. I hope everyone can understand the English. Otherwise, we can have maybe short few sentences
Okay.
when about what
Baik,
she said.
so please allowing me, Wadia, to explain a bit in Bahasa. So as you mentioned earlier, if we know how to say, if we know deeply about the conflict, then we not speaking clearly and unclearly. To be so complicated of what happened in Israel. So please allowing me to explain in Indonesia, maybe like the key points. So baik teman-teman, sangat menarik tadi yang disampaikan oleh Ibu Wadia, dan ini beberapa catatan saya kira yang menarik yang saya dapatkan. Mohon dikoreksi kalau ada yang salah, kalau ada yang kurang mohon dilengkapi. Yang pertama, konflik ini berevolusi dari tahun ke tahun. Tadi menyebutnya the conflict evolve. Dan tadi diawali dengan sebuah cerita menarik. Kenapa sering terjadi konflik di Middle East? Karena kita berbicara tentang Tuhan, tidak berbicara kepada Tuhan. Dan seringkali kita mengkambing hitamkan atau justru menjadikan Tuhan sebagai alat untuk nourishing atau apa ya, menyuburkan konflik. Halo, tes.
Yes,
Halo?
when clearly, very clear. Go on.
Maaf, di sini freezing, mohon maaf agak.
Enggak.
Saya ulang, takut ketinggalan tadi ya. God is used to nourish the conflict. Jadi Tuhan digunakan justru untuk menyuburkan konflik. Itu yang saya kira poin penting yang disampaikan. Kemudian juga untuk memahami konflik kita harus melihat dari different angle, different perspektif. Jadi melihat dari sudut pandang yang berbeda, dari komponen yang berbeda juga. Dan konflik ini terjadi tidak linear, jadi tidak bisa difahami hitam putih linear tentang agama, tentang politik, tapi banyak aspek yang terjadi, many components not linear. Dan juga tadi saya menggarisbawahi di Middle East konflik ini nyaris terjadi di semua layers. Ada antar agama konflik, Kristen dengan Islam, Islam dengan Yahudi, tapi juga intra-agama juga terjadi. Tadi menyebut Sunni Syiah, kemudian dan bahkan di dalam kalangan di Palestina sendiri saling berkonflik, Hamas, Fatah, dan lain sebagainya. Kemudian juga tadi Wadia banyak bercerita tentang pengalaman langsung dari keluarganya yang ayahnya langsung yang lahir tahun 1900 dan menyaksikan bagian dari sejarah deklarasi Balfour PM Perdana Menteri Inggris saat itu, termasuk cerita yang sangat menarik saya kira tadi ketika orang-orang pemilik tanah di sekarang menjadi negara Israel itu dipaksa pergi saat itu oleh tentara Israel dengan alasan bahwa akan terjadi konflik, silahkan menyelamatkan diri. Betul, sebagian warga Yahudi yang bermigrasi ke Palestina dari Eropa Barat itu ada yang membeli tanah orang-orang Arab saat itu, tapi juga ada yang mengambil occupied. Jadi tiba-tiba mengambil tanah, dan dua orang yang disebutkan tadi, pendeta dan bishop ya tadi ya, itu keluarganya kembali ke Israel sekarang. Gitu. Jadi memang ada pendudukan di sana, termasuk tadi menceritakan bagaimana orang-orang Palestina yang menjadi refugee di Lebanon justru di kemudian hari menjadi salah satu sumber perang, sumber konflik di Lebanon sendiri, karena mereka menduduki kampung-kampung orang Kristen, slaughter tadi bahasanya, dan ini juga menjadi permasalahan di kemudian hari. Kemudian yang terakhir, ini saya kira yang paling menarik dari pernyataan Wadia, bahwa klaim Israel sebagai pewaris tadi menyebut Israel, apa namanya, orang Israel yang sekarang ada di Yerusalem menjadi negara Israel itu di formation of Old Testament. Jadi mereka bukan Yahudi. Saya memahaminya bukan Yahudi yang dijanjikan di Old Testament. Mereka ini orang-orang lain di formation, orang-orang lain yang kemudian menarik ke tadi pernyataan di awal bahwa menggunakan Tuhan sebagai sumber konflik. Jadi mereka mengklaim bahwa saya paling berhak duduk di sana, padahal sebetulnya bukan. Jadi bahasa terakhir itu Israel to the formations of Old Testament. Saya kira itu yang paling menarik, dan kalau mau ada yang menambahkan, silahkan sudah. Cuma kalau menjawab dari pertanyaan pertama, saya izinkan wrap up dari pertanyaan pertama, apakah konflik ini tentang, sebentar, ada pertanyaan di atas ya, Hud ya. Apakah konflik ini, apa yang menjadi penyebab konflik? Nah, ini yang dijawab, konflik ini berevolusi dari tahun ke tahun. Jadi banyak komponen, banyak elemen, kita tidak bisa melihat secara linear. Termasuk juga apakah ini konflik agama, ini dijawab tadi, ini too complicated. Kita harus melihat dari berbagai macam sudut untuk sampai menyimpulkan ini konflik agama. Kemudian tentang land occupation juga dijelaskan tadi bagaimana proses pendudukan dari deklarasi Balfour, kemudian peristiwa Nakbah tahun 1947. Kemudian yang terakhir ini yang belum kita diskusikan, what we can do. Itu mungkin sambil kita berdiskusi. Itu saja. So maybe this is the brief summary in my opinion. Maybe I believe that each one of you may have a different understanding, different perspective from the story. And I would like, maybe Huda, you can add something in Bahasa, or if do you think it's enough, then we can move to the next session, which is like question and answer, or maybe sharing and etc.
Yeah, thank you, Wendy. Thank you for sharing, Wadia. Wadia, how much time do you still have for us? 15 minutes?
I'm fine because we are like 7 hours from my next meeting.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm only taking my parents to lunch in 1 hour. Don't worry.
All right, okay. Because we have Bai from the Philippines. She's already here. Welcome, Bai. Hi, Bai. Okay, she's somewhere here. And I just like to say thank you so much for sharing, Wadia. The effect of Palestinian becoming refugee in Lebanon, in your country, it creates another problem, and it's becoming a dilemma how to support Palestinian. Okay, I have a little boy to whisper me what to say. No. So it's I think this is new understanding for myself, that the Palestinian becoming refugee in Lebanon and also in neighboring countries, and it's becoming a burden or becoming dilemma as they are using violence or they are affiliate to the radical Islam in Lebanon. Apalagi ya?
Huda,
Yes.
Huda, aku mau klarifikasiin bahasa Wadia tuh Awen.
Ya.
Awen, tadi teh jadi orang Israel teh dulu teh disuruh pergi dari tanah Israel itu, Israel yang sekarang, sehingga mereka jadi pengungsi. Salah satunya pengungsi ke Inggris. Nah, terus si Inggris ini nyuruh balik lagi.
Kebalik.
Jadi si orang Israel ini asalnya di mana tinggalnya? Kok jadi ke Palestina?
Oke, Wen.
Yang saya baca juga sama dengan yang Wadia sampaikan. Jadi Israel ini kan bertahun-tahun berdiaspora ke banyak negara. Mereka berusaha mendirikan negara Yahudi. Karena menurut mereka itu bagian dari hak mereka, dijanjikan Tuhan. Nah, si Zionis itu yang kongres pertamanya 1987 kalau nggak salah, di akhir abad 19 itu ingin mendirikan negara itu. Nah, yang berhasil, yang menyetujui proposal mereka itu Inggris. Makanya tadi disebut ada deklarasi Balfour. Deklarasi Balfour itu kan kalau yang saya pahami itu terjadi setelah si Palestina sekarang yang dulunya di bawah kekuasaan Turki Ottoman itu kalah perang, Turki dan Jerman koalisi. Nah, Inggris yang menang. Nah, tanah yang ada yang Israel sekarang itu kemudian di kemudian hari diberikan ke orang-orang Israel, orang-orang Yahudi yang kemudian mendirikan Israel. Dan tadi Wadia menyebutkan deklarasi kejadian Nakba 1947 Nah, mereka itu di migrasi massal ke Palestina sekarang, migrasi massal, dan tadi cerita Wadia, tanah mereka itu diambil alih, salah satunya tadi caranya itu disuruh kamu pergi dari sini karena akan ada konflik, kamu harus pindah gitu. Ada yang pindah, betul memang kan sejarah ada yang bilang dibeli katanya. Ada tanah yang dibeli oleh orang Israel, orang Yahudi, betul. Tapi ada juga tadi Wadia menyebut dia diambil alih secara paksa gitu, diambil aja. Nah, orang-orang Palestina yang dulu itu menjadi refugee di banyak titik, ada di Lebanon, ada di Jordan, ya di Syria. Yang di Lebanon, Wadia tadi menyebut ini di kemudian hari ternyata menjadi sumber-sumber konflik baru di Lebanon, gitu. Orang-orang Palestina yang menjadi refugee di Lebanon.
Jadi mereka
Inggris itu sponsor utamanya.
Iya. Jadi orang-orang Palestina yang di Lebanon itu justru mereka yang membantai banyak orang Kristen dan itu menimbulkan masalah di Lebanon gitu. Dan mereka terlibat juga dengan gerakan-gerakan kekerasan lah gitu ya, radikal gitu. Jadi Wadia, it's true, it's so complicated to understand what's going on.
Can I add something to simplify, because I was understanding almost what you're saying, because you were trying to explain the difference between Palestinians in Palestine and the refugees and what's happening, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it is very, very simple. For example, you see that Jews were persecuted in Europe. Many became very bitter and they back violence now. And some, because they were under persecution, they sympathize. So we always react in two different ways according to our maturity. Either we continue being attached to our pain and wanting to impose on others, or because we live the pain, we understand others and we don't want to pass it on. I believe it's same with any other people. Like Palestinians who came to Lebanon, many of them integrated. Some of them have the Lebanese citizenship, and some of them don't have the Lebanese citizenship, but they work with us and we are really good friends. Some of them is Usama Ayoub and people who we met together in IOFC and we visit them in the camps. We have 16 refugee camps in Lebanon, but others affiliated with radical groups. And the big question now is how to break the circle of violence. And this is the third question you asked. What do we do? What can we do? What can we do is to help our brothers and sisters to process pain and to act in a constructive way. For example, our friend Mustafa Barghouti in Palestine, who is a great friend of Professor Rajmohan Gandhi, he backs the non-violence resistance. But of course, non-violence is in moment of non-conflict. But now, if they are bombing us, of course we would resist. We would try to stop the evil, but we don't create other evil, because the question is now, if Israel is if Israel vanishes, let's say, or if the international community imposes big limits on Israel not to harm Palestinians anymore, the big question is, what will the Palestinians do with their pain? Are they going to impose or to give, how do you say, like compassion to others because they went through that? Or as we saw in Gaza, like people of Gaza are afraid now because radical groups are emerging and saying we're going to slaughter, and we know that the first people that the radical groups slaughter are other Muslims, like happened in Iraq or in wherever in Egypt. So we're always thinking how to stop the circle of violence and how to direct the resistance in a healthy way. That's it.
So thank you.
Good.
Thank you very much, Wadia, for the explanation. And maybe Huda, we may move to give opportunity for questions. Yeah,
can I add something then?
Yeah, sure. And then
so thank you very much. This is really really interesting, talking about this. But yeah, we do understand it's very complicated even to discuss. Okay. Actually, my big question is like this: when we want to build such kind of or reconciliation or peace, we have to find, we have to encourage that these two different houses open their doors. So if one shut their doors, so till that's difficult to open such kind of reconciliations. So now I really want to see from the side of Israeli people. So do they also have such kind of willingness, to end this conflict in Middle East, especially, or what? And I met actually Deborah Kaufman. Do you still remember her? Remember in 2000 and
Deborah,
yeah.
Yes, I met her in Indonesia, and I'll tell you a story about her when you finish.
Okay. So actually, I don't know about that. So, but actually, do you have a chance, for also reaching this different side? Because if the door closed, that's difficult to build reconciliations. So what should we do? And that's still finding that. Thank you.
Well, Deborah Kaufman, I met her in Malaysia, not in Indonesia. I hope after the COVID, the first destination will be Indonesia. I promised Huda. Yes. But of course, within Israel, there are groups working for peace. And the first people to declare Israel as a state of apartheid was, to my surprise, an Israeli group inside Israel, which is a breakthrough. And that's what allowed the European press to say it, and to say it was a big mistake to declare or to publish the Balfour Agreement, because such a sick-minded state cannot build peace. But within the state of Israel now, there are people who really see that nobody will be at peace unless everybody is okay. So we cannot continue oppressing a whole people and suspect to be at peace and nobody attacking. Like it's normal, it's logical. So we need to find these people, and they exist. Luckily, they exist. Of course, we need to differentiate, because many people speak of peace while it's just propaganda. Few people speak of peace while they really mean it, and you can find it out by what they do, what they actually do, not what they say. Okay, so here we need lots of wisdom and of differentiation and of experiencing on long term how these people act. Deborah, when I met her, it was the Asia Pacific Youth Conference, and I was in charge of a session with Yonuk Jong. And when she knew that I was Lebanese, she was in front of people, very nice, and between us, she insulted me like 3 times. You Arabs, you God gave us this land. I said, well, not God, it was the American support. No, she said, it's Russian. It's like, whatever, it was with support. And I thought she's a pain in the neck, not to say something else. But after a while, we got the news, because at that time, I remember Owen Lean was saying the news, the summary of the news in the morning. And he said there was an explosion in Jerusalem by a suicide bomber. And she was agitated because she said her family is there. And right away, I went to my room and brought her a card, a phone card. And I said, please call your parents to get to know, I know what you feel. And she changed completely. She apologized for being very rude. And so I firmly believe that no matter how closed or how evil the person in front, we are all sickly, hungry and thirsty for love and respect. Once we offer it, even if it is to someone who is unworthy, at least it comes to you. If he's worthy, you build something. So as Rajmohan Gandhi told me, the biggest insult a person can impose on you is to force you to become as violent as him. Okay? Don't let evil make you copy it. Never. Just be above and wiser. That's it. And you can have the art of revenge, but a constructive revenge. Okay? You understand my point? So be good to a very evil person, you will ruin him and he will be built in a better way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Wadia.
Wadia.
What is the questions? Kak Glenda, what is your questions?
Can you write it down?
No, it's just the last two sentences from Wadia is very interesting, but I cannot remember it all. If only Wadia would like to write it down again, then it will be good. But if not, then it's okay.
I will try to remember which two and I will send to Huda, don't worry.
Semua orang kehausan cinta. Dan orang-orang jahat itu akan memaksa dan membujuk kita untuk sama jahatnya dengan mereka. Maka yang bisa kita lakukan adalah membantu brother sister kita yang bertikai itu untuk memulihkan luka mereka dan timbullah saling memaafkan dan jangan menggunakan kekerasan. Sotoy gue ya.
Exactly is what Wadia said.
Iya, so powerful Wadia. I
Yeah,
understand.
so
Very good
powerful.
English ya with
More
me.
powerful than weapon.
Okay, Wendy and Wadia. Okay, maybe we can take one last questions, and then after that we can have the breakout,
Okay.
so people can have
So this is
space to
maybe
share
the last
questions
maybe
from Ferry.
last question. Yeah, before breakout, Wadia, can Palestine and Israel become one state as a solution? So what do you think about this question?
Well, I'm not an expert in political science to know how the system can work, but we have a serious proposal on this side and a not serious proposal on the other side. It will make you laugh. But now what is being said all the time, even by Joe Biden yesterday, is that we have to work for the two-state solution. For me, I don't think a two-state solution will work because there will continue be conflicts, and to whom this land, to whom this border, to whom the water, to whom the resources. It's complicated. I prefer the one state, and Palestinians want it to be the Palestinian state with all people within it, the three religions, and whoever wants to freely be and constructively be in this country. And the liberal Jews want it this way because they say there is no state of Israel anywhere in the Old Testament. It is like an artificial creation. While Israelis, if you talk to them and if you go to the YouTube, it's very disturbing how they speak. They say, can you say, for example, there is a social experiment. Can you say free Palestine? He said, there's no Palestine, finish Palestine. And that's very insulting and very hurtful. But I believe no matter what the country's name is, and the not so serious solution was given by Muammar al-Qaddafi before he was killed. He said, let's call the country Israel, Palestine, Israel. So it's like half. So everybody was laughing at him. It's not just the naming, it is the core of it. I believe whether the name is Palestine, Israel, Palestine, like for example, London, Derry in Northern Ireland, they say it's Derry or London, Derry. So it's now London, Derry. I don't mind have the name ABCYZ. I don't know what is it, but have everybody represented in a free, democratic way, let people speak their thoughts, not have Palestinians as second-hand citizens or Arab Israelis who are in the parliament being always cornered. It can happen if people are of goodwill, and it cannot happen if people are radical. Like you have very radical Muslims and very radical Jews, it doesn't happen. If you have people like Mustafa Barghouti, for example, in a parliament, you can have many things passed.
So thank you so much, Wadia, for the questions. And as we mentioned in the chat, that we are going to have a breakout room for 6 minutes. But before going to the breakout room, I just remember I read a book from Karen Armstrong, and it's quite similar with what Wadia said about the God is used to nourish the conflict. She once says that modern society has made a scapegoat of faith. Religion has been used as the cause of the major wars in the history. So, and also I remember a quote from a professor of management in MIT. He once mentions that today's solution comes from yesterday. Today's problem came from yesterday's solution. So this is what really happened. We have a solution in the past, then become a problem in today's life. And so Huda, who is the, are you going to break out the participant, or
Yes.
how?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right, friends. So we will be in the breakout room just to introduce to each other and also to share what you've heard from Wadia, to share in the small group. So I will be
excuse me, Pak Huda,
ready.
I'm so
Okay.
sorry because I have to leave because I have
Sure.
another online schedule. So thank you very much, Pak Huda, Kang Awen, and especially our speaker here, Wadia. Thank you very much for the session. I'm leaving now. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Terima kasih Kang Dadan udah ikutan.
Thank you. Huda, am I needed after the breakout rooms, or can I also leave?
You can leave after breakout room.
After, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, wait. I think, yeah. Oh, Bai is coming again. Okay. People can talk while I'm counting people into the breakout.
I see many people pointing at books or names of books. Are they books you wrote or you appreciated reading?
They are the writer Wadia. Rama and Yofrina just launching their book. And also, please come.
I can see the book of.
Thank you,
I cannot see the book of Rama, but
for explaining.
Oh, okay. It is in
Hi,
Bahasa.
Wadia.
Yes, Rama.
Okay, you will be in breakout room in few seconds. Ya. Ferry lo belum masuk, Fer. Sebentar, nak.
Iya, Kang.
Ini siapa nih? Oh, kalian belum masuk ya? Kalian belum masuk.
Aku ada dua, Kang.
Siapa? Oh, lu itu lo ya? Lo nggak usah ikut deh.
Aku sama yang satunya sama teh ini, Teh Naja.
Oh, ya udah. Oke.
Aku nggak usah ikut ya, yang sama Teh Najwa keluar aja ya.
Ya nggak usah. Ya.
Nah kan ini tetap kerekam, Kang.
Tetap matiin dulu.
Oke, aku pause dulu ya.
Ya. From Wadia.
Okay.
Oh, from Wadia, and then if anyone else would like to share, you may share. But after that, we will have the second session.
Tadi anaknya Bu apa?
So Wadia, please, or you want to hear from other friends first, and then you will have closing?
Yes, if they have any punchlines or highlights from the
Yeah.
breaking rooms.
Yeah, okay. All right, anyone, please share your highlight or punchline from your breakout.
Unmute and speak.
Yes.
Please.
Punch is drink.
I want to say something, Kak Huda.
Please, Haya, introduce
Hi,
yourself
Yeah,
and your video.
yeah. I'm sorry I cannot open my video. Thank you, Wadia, for sharing, for clarifying, for strengthening our confusions here, Indonesian people. From your side, from your personal story, this is very confirming our discussion that what can we do actually to make. I don't know how we want to show our empathy and sympathy to this conflict, because it is not easy. It is very complex, multi-dimension, as you said, and because we are working in IFC, like the focus in IFC is reconciliations and the pain and the wound. So we got confirmation from you that this conflict is coming from the wounds, and this is what we are doing in IFC, and then this is strengthening our faith, our work here, that we need to work on. We need to keep going what we do in Indonesia, so that the evil, we can fight the evil with love. Thank you. Thank you, Kahuda. Thank you, Wadia and friends.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Yeah, her name is Hayati. It's
Okay.
live. Yeah.
Yes.
Nur
Hayati.
Hayati. Yes,
Live.
Nur Hayati. Yes.
Okay.
All right, Wadia, please.
Well, thank you so much for entrusting me for this talk, which came heart to heart. And I know that I have brothers and sisters in Indonesia that I love virtually and now really, because I know you through Huda and how much he's passionate about your group. I would say at the end, if any time you think about Semitic, anti-Semitic, whatever it is, look at my face. I am the typical Semitic, and it's very funny when somebody says, "Oh, you're being anti-Semitic because you're speaking about the illegal state of Israel," and this is a paradox. At the same time, let us not never use the religion in order to nourish hatred. And I wanted to speak in the breakout room something that I didn't have time to. I will share it here. During the conflict now, the recent conflict between Israel and Gaza and the Palestinians, somebody called Abu Ubaida became the hero of many people. And I know from my friends, mainly the Muslim friends, sharing about what he said. He said, "I will make the Jews pay for the garbage that they used to throw at the Prophet Muhammad's door." And this amused them a lot. And you know the story that Prophet Muhammad used to have a neighbor who was not a really nice neighbor, throwing garbage at him, isn't it? And when this person was sick, Prophet Muhammad went and visited him, and that converted him, that changed his heart. And the same thing in Europe, many Christians were not nice to the Jews because they said they crucified Jesus, while Jesus himself forgave. And this converted many hearts. Muhammad forgave, and this converted many hearts. So always be above hatred. That's what I want to say.
Wow.
Thank you.
So thank
Bless you.
you so much, Wadia, for the beautiful closing about Prophet Muhammad's story, giving back love for those who hated him. And it is very nice having you in this amazing afternoon in Indonesian time, I mean. And I believe that each one of us learn something new, learn new perspective about the conflict, about the illegal settlement of Israel in the Palestinian land. And I hope and we hope that at least our meeting today, our discussion today can contribute something for at least for our perspective on what happened in Middle East. And also, I know something very important. It's not about don't bring religion. I mean, don't blame religion for this conflict. As like I repeat, this is the very interesting, like the punchline in my opinion. We talk too much. We speak too much about God, but not speaking to God. And God is used to nourish the conflict. And I quote from a friend in our breakout room. I forget the name, Ricardo or something. I forget the name. We use sometimes religion or God is used as political instrument. And what's happening now, and I hope we can be peace agent, at least in our family, at least in our smaller circle. So to give understanding about what really happened in Middle East, in Gaza, in Lebanon, and in Israel, and other place in Middle East. And thank you so much, Wadia. Thank you so much. It's nice having you today, and I hope we will have another session for this topic and more, maybe another topic. And let's give applause, unmute, and applause for Wadia.
Yay! Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
and hope to see you face to face, not in
Okay.
virtual sometimes.
Bless you.
Thank you, Wadia.
Okay.
Thank you. God bless you, Wadia.
Bless you.
Wendy and Wadia, don't
Stay
leave first.
healthy, Wadia.
Okay, now I'd like to invite everyone to on your video, and we'll take picture with your hand up in your head. So your hand will be in your picture. You can do like this, you can do like this, or you can do like this.
Or like this.
Yeah, use your hand. Use your hand. Okay, use your hand.
Cari kudung dulu.
Oke, belum ya.
Udah.
Ini siapa yang motoin? Aku yang motoin berarti. Aku nggak bisa klik dong. Cong, lu bisa nggak, Cong?
Bisa, bisa. Aku bisa.
Ya udah, aku post.
Kita bisa.com.
Kayak aku hitung ya.
Yes.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Lagi. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Alright.
Okay.
Alright. Syukron kasiron Sayyidati Wadia.
Shukran. I can say up to dua. I want to. Okay, I will learn. I will learn.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
1, 2, 3. Yes.
Okay.
Alright.
Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Good afternoon. Yeah. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay. Okay. Now we coming back to second session. Everyone who like to join our second session, please stay with us, remain with us, as we have our second agenda. This is still halal bihalal, and we also have our dear sister from Maguindanao, from Mindanao, by Putri Moraya. Hi, bye.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay. All right, everyone. Yes. Okay. Welcome to our gathering. This is Initiative of Change Indonesia gathering, and by Putri is she's gone. She's gone. Okay. Is she still here? Masih di sini nggak Wendy?
Kayaknya hilang deh.
Hilang ya. Aduh, hilang. Oke.
Dari Maguindanao sinyalnya.
Ya, sinyalnya kayaknya susah. Ya, I think so.
Dari tadi juga dia di
balik lagi.
room begitu.
Oh, oke.
Jadi dahulukan aja. Oh, Mas sudah jangan banyak basa-basi kayaknya.
Okay, bye. All right.
Oke, bye.
Okay. Bye. All right.
Balik lagi
So,
sih, Hud.
ya ini ada. Okay. As you saw the
Ada.
poster, Bai is a faculty member of Sharia Law Faculty in Maguindanao University in Mindanao Province in southern Philippines. So she will share with us who she is and what is she doing in Maguindanao and what is her calling for peace and development in Mindanao especially. And so now I'd like to invite Bai Putri Moraya to share with us. Please, Bai.
Okay, Assalamualaikum everyone. My courtesy to the organizers of this trust building talk, the IFC Indonesia, and for the invitation extended to me by Kahuda. And anyway, last Friday I was actually shocked. I thought it's just informal talk, but when I saw the poster, oh my god. Yeah.
No, Bai, this is informal. Informal.
Really? Oh, so I really prepared. I thought it's formal, so just kidding. So yeah. And anyway, by the way, I am by Putri Maraya Amil. Some of you have met me already through maybe online or there in Indonesia. Yeah, it's been I think more than 5 years when I was there in Indonesia with the International Youth Leadership Camp, right? So currently I'm working in Mindanao State University, Maguindanao. Actually, Mindanao State University is a social laboratory. Actually, it's the university that we have is actually one of the solutions that they see to end conflict between and among the Christians, non-Christians, and those Muslims. Okay, the minorities in the Mindanao. That's why most of the Mindanao State University is a system, and its campus actually can be found where the minorities, Filipino Muslims are. So I'm working now here in the campus where where I was held. So and still I am engaged with volunteer works. I mean, I still engage myself in the community, and now it's actually my first time to conduct my class online because in last pandemic prior to that I was on leave to school. It's quite challenging because most of the students that we cater actually in the university that we are in now are students coming from the marginalized areas, are the students who are actually product of conflict. I can say that, yeah, they are product of armed conflict. In fact, as I said a while ago in our break room, no, because we try to understand what is happening now in Israel and Palestine. I just said that last Wednesday, when I was in our area, I passed by with the internally displaced people. They are still in the evacuation center. And actually, few weeks ago, I think the conflict actually started on last March. There was a bombing, and in fact, civilians were killed. There was one who was a pregnant woman and become the victim of that bombing, like the mortar shelling like that. And imagine, we thought the new entity that we have now, the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, which was ratified a few years ago, we thought that's the solution for the conflict to end. But now still there is a sect. I mean, another groups forming within the community. And that's the reason, I mean, that's what they're saying. Why there's mortar shelling? What's happening? So they say that there are, now they say there is the presence of ISIS in the community, in the marginalized areas. So, but we haven't verified that yet. So I'm with our team, like just merely volunteers, because we are professionals on our own, but we really care in the community. So we are, inshallah, we're planning to have a dialogue in the community, and at least get the side of the government, like through the armed forces of the Philippines, the soldiers, and those in the community who are expected or who are suspected to be the part of the armed group, but we're praying for our security. And I really wish that we can have that initiative, but we can pursue that initiative, because for now we don't have clear idea what's happening in the ground. And if even I tried searching in the Google, I cannot see in the Google or I cannot see in the media any reports with what is happening in the ground, in the marginalized areas. So recently, actually, we had we had this initiative, peso for evacuees. As we know the fact that Philippines, actually, especially the Maguindanao is one of the poorest among the poor in the country. So there we tried to at least collect some help from different people, and their help we use it to at least give some basic needs, provide or assist them in their basic needs, the evacuees. And it's a good for us, because we anytime, I mean, we can actually, we have this coordination in the ground. Time to time we have these messages that, hey, there is a conflict happening here, but I don't know how the government works. I mean, sometimes they ignore what's happening in the ground. If you try to Google, the most famous conflict happened, actually, aside from the private conflict, like the Ampatuan massacre or the Maguindanao massacre, and the SAF 44. If you just happen to, I mean, hear that's I think they in that situation, they actually portrayed Maguindanao as a dangerous place, actually. But in fact, look, it's happening now. It's happening that there is a mortar shelling, there is a bombing everywhere. Civilians are dying, children are dying, but we cannot see that in the media. I mean, we cannot see that, right? So I don't know how they treat that kind of content. Now that we, the professionals, professional volunteers, present the truth, the what is really happening in the community. So in the simplest way that we can. So inshallah, but because it's pandemic, where our actions are limited with the pandemic. So what we're planning to do is at least gather some youths through online. But online as an initiative is quite challenging, because my presence is just an example of how I struggled a lot to be part of this Zoom meeting. Good for me that here I'm not in the conflict affected area. I'm not so very, very near. But what about those in the evacuation center? How they can join this kind of online opportunities? I mean, it's so sad. But inshallah, soon we are doing our best to reach them out, and hopefully we can talk to those other side, like for example, like the other sect, armed men in the community, because we want to hear the two sides of the stories. Because we usually do this in our team. We really work in the community. Yeah, we're not seeing anything in the media, seeing anything in the knows for us, we respect, we sometimes yeah, we respect what we can see, but we in our team, we really go to the root, I mean the ground. We really reach the people in the marginalized areas and hear what is happening. Yeah, and now aside from that, the online thing, the connection is really, and I just said the current just come back, just it was broken. I mean, there was a problem with our current. So imagine that kind of challenge that we face here. So alhamdulillah, because with the IFC, I was I mean I have been inspired to really continue our initiatives and works, and inspiring people as well to really have that personal change that we need in order to change the to see the change that we want to see in our community. Yeah, and alhamdulillah, I found this group. That's why since 2014, when I met IFC, even for some reasons I'm out, but I always come back in the IFC because of what I have seen. Yeah. So what else? I just hope I can work with you, with different initiatives, addressing the those needy. Yeah. So thank you so much, Cow, Huda. But the problem sometimes that we encounter is the sustainability of our initiatives, because it's very difficult to sustain the initiative. Sometimes we lack the usual problem, the lack of funds, and good if we're only rich, we can provide our own. I mean, sometimes that's how we do it. Even if we're not rich, if we have a cent or a penny that can sustain an initiative, we volunteer. My colleagues are actually they are volunteering their own, just to sustain our initiatives or reach those youths, especially youths in the marginalized area. Yeah. So yes.
Okay. Thank you for sharing, by Putri. Just to give everyone context, by is we met each other in 2000. I forgot, by is it 2014 or 15?
2014.
14, yeah. When we have Life Matter course in Philippines.
15. Yeah, that was
15.
15.
Yeah, 15.
Yes.
And since then, I witnessed that, and I met friends from Maguindanao, especially from Bai University. Mostly, they were your students. I can feel there is energy in you, and also energy from the students that you bring to the Life Matter course. And I believe um, the conversation or the session of the Life Matters will bring an impact to you and to your team there. And I think it's so great to have Bai and friends also came to our program in Indonesia, in our annual youth leadership program, and also to our Asia Pacific Youth Conference. I think it's we need to continue this friendship,
Yes.
and I think to have sustainability, this is also our struggle. There is no other way except to be connected, and also to be in the circle where we can share, where we can talk to each other and listen and be in touch, like this, for example. By so, dear friends, if you have questions to buy, or if you have anything to share, please write down your name first, and then I will call you, and then I will call your name. So now let's have a pause for 20 seconds, and then let's see if we have questions for Bai. All right, everyone. Thank you. Anyone want to share or ask questions to Bai? Please. Okay, while waiting another questions I think your students who join the program like Zai or who else? I forgot those names. Very bright and smart.
Omar.
Omar, yeah, very bright and brave students. I believe they graduated already.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Yes, all of them actually.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
how do
they
you keep in touch with
graduated.
them? Are you in touch
Some
with
of
them?
them got work already.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, actually, I'm still in touch with them, but mostly I'm connected with. I mean, the regular connection is with Zai. Yeah, with Zai. So, but text messenger, we usually use. Yeah, I'm still in touch with the next messenger than the WhatsApp.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any questions, Rera, Irna, Ums, friends, please? I have another questions, but I will let anyone else to ask questions. All right. Bai, you mentioned about Bangsa Moro. What is the word?
Samara autonomous
Bangs.
region in Muslim Mindanao.
Yes, autonomous. Yes, yes. Uh, how do you see? I mean, are you looking at this Bangsa Moro autonomous as hopeful, or what do you see about these proposals of Bangsa Moro autonomy?
Thank you so much. Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao is actually the difference with Mindanao with the with uh,
Hello, Bai. I can't hear you. Okay. Hello. Hello. Hi, Bai.
yeah, I see hope is always present, and yeah, it's kind of if hope. Yeah, so it's hopeful. I mean, we just need more awareness to people to work together. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Irna, please unmute yourself and greet Bai.
Thank you, Kak. Hi, bye. It's good to see you. Thank you for sharing and reminds me of the last time I visited Mindanao. But I believe there are more apa ya, progress. I hope and yeah, stay healthy right there. That's from me, Kak.
Likewise. Likewise. Yeah. Thank you. Stay healthy, all of you there in Indonesia.
Yes, but even in Indonesia, we don't hear much about what happened in Mindanao.
Yeah, Huda, can I?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you, Bai, for coming and sharing. Even the signal is not stable, but I really appreciate your semangat. What semangat? Your enthusiasm to meeting with us as your brother and sister in Indonesia. Long time we not talk with you, Bai. So for me, this afternoon I learned about the conflict, not just about Palestinian, not just about Palestine, Gaza, and Israel. I also talking with Bai in the breakout room, Huda. That's a lot of conflict in this world, not just in Palestine. So in Mindanao also what happened there is we also not understand. Just Bai and the community exactly know and understand what happened gitu. Even Bai also maybe not really know what happened in the marginalized place like what Bai said. So I think Huda in Indonesian context in IOFC family here just come back to our motto, change start with me. Please take care ourselves, take care our family, give love for many people as lebih banyak gitu. Maksudnya gimana ya, baik. Gitu, baik. So we have to also think about what happened in Mindanao in many places and also in Indonesia. Even in Indonesia, we also have lots of conflict. And then the violence, bitterness, hatred, polarization, it's happening also in Indonesia gitu. So I think and I hope IOFC Indonesia still on the roots, our foundation as Indonesia NKRI harga mati. Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, our motto is very important gitu, Huda. Don't make in Mindanao, I hope not the conflict not bigger and bigger like Palestine or no, inshallah Mindanao will be in peace and we fight for peace in Mindanao and also in Indonesia. Don't be next Palestine. So let's continue our work, our duty in IOFC to healing, to reconcile, to forgive, even in internal, Huda. We need reconciliation in internal IOFC Indonesia. We need healing. We need talk. Don't be like in Palestine. And I also thank you so much for people who coming in this gathering. It's really important for us to reconnect between us to talk in breakout room and listen each other and understand each other. Even the pandemic separating us in the many places and many pieces. Sudah. Thank you for IOFC Indonesia Trust Building Team to conduct this event. So I thanks to pandemic because a pandemic we can hear about Bai. Yeah. So if not pandemic, you have to come here or we have to come to Mindanao and it's a lot of cost, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you and say hi to the team in there. Bye. So still stay healthy, stay happy.
Okay, thank you. Bai, do you want to respond?
Oh yeah, thank you so much. Since then Indonesia has been close to me, and yeah, it's an honor and privilege to be with you right now. I miss you all. I wish I can do more work with you. And yeah, actually, I hope the pandemic will get over and we can come there, or either you come here. So yeah, we just continue this, and so even we don't have trust building talk in the Philippines, maybe we can join with IOFC Indonesia. Yeah.
Yes, sure. We need to learn to each other.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, Bai. Okay, dear friends, by how much time do you have with us? You may join us for another interaction. I mean, I think our time plan is until 5, so we'll have another 30 minutes. If you like to join, you are most welcome. Or if you want to continue your activity, you also most welcome.
Maybe I can join.
All right. Okay then.
Yeah, please.
Okay, friends. I think in this screen, most of us know each other, but I think we have new friends. Number one is Osvaldo from Thousand Abrahamic Circle from Jakarta, and also Mbak Anggi, and also Glenda. So can I invite you to introduce yourself, to unmute and introduce who you are and what you are doing, and yeah, so that we will know each other better. Please, I give you each 1 minute to introduce yourself. Silakan, Osvaldo, setelah itu Mbak Anggi, setelah itu Mbak Glenda. Siapa dulu? Silakan. Ya, Valdo silakan. Masih mute, Valdo?
Hi,
Yeah.
is my voice clear?
Yes, very clear.
Hello, my name is Osvaldo. I'm an operational officer in 1000 Abrahamic Circle. 1000 Abrahamic Circle focuses on peace building through interfaith activities. We put a Muslim imam, a Christian priest, and a Jewish rabbi together to live with each other, so that they can have a mutual understanding between each other, to go past the hate and bigotry taught to us since we were kids, to ascend so that we can gain enlightenment, so that we can understand and have a peaceful society. We wish to believe that religious tolerance is not the limit, and that we should improve to that so we can achieve mutual respect between religion, and thus make the society as a whole better. Okay, maybe that's
Thank
it.
you. Yes.
If there's more, you
Thank
can.
you, Valdo. Yes, yes. And Valdo is our new great friends, as we connected through trust building launching last month, and also Pak Dinopati Jalal also saw his support for our works. Thank you, Valdo. And next, I'd like to invite siapa nih? Siapa mau duluan, Mbak Anggi atau Mbak Glenda? Silakan.
Yes, halo.
Hai, Mbak Anggi.
Glenda.
Oh, Mbak Glenda, silakan. Ya, silakan.
Okay, I don't know what is this for, but okay, then I will introduce myself. I am Glenda. You can all call me Gege. I am a housewife. I'm working as a volunteer in Sekolah Rekonsiliasi, the root below IOC Indonesia. And I'm so blessed to have this community. And I think that's all. Thank you.
Oke, thank you, Mbak Glenda. Oke, tadi kita di awal belum saling itu ya, saling halal bihalal, belum saling menghalalkan. Jadi saya pribadi atas nama Miftahul Huda dan juga atas nama tim IOC, pertama-tama mengucapkan minal aidin wal faizin, mohon maaf lahir dan batin, dan juga mengucapkan rasa syukur yang tak terhingga karena sampai hari ini kita sehat dan juga kita bisa bersilaturahim di forum halal bihalal ini. Tadi kita sudah mulai dengan trust building talk dengan Wadia, dan sekarang kita di sesi kedua. Tadi ada Bay juga yang bercerita. Gitu. Oke. Karena hampir semua orang sudah tahu satu sama lain. Bu Anggi masih ada nggak? Hai Bu Anggi. Oke, masih menyimak katanya. Oke, Sekarang karena nggak ada yang pakai bahasa Inggris, kita pakai bahasa Indonesia ya. So it's fine. Mustami semua nih.
Iya,
Oke.
bahasa Indonesia aja.
Ya udah selesai. Ya, Bay udah pergi, udah ini kayaknya jaringan juga.
Oke.
Ya. Bay is back. Oke, Bay is back also. Hai. Kelihatan di sini. Ada tamu kelihatan di sini. Oke, kita mau ambil waktu juga dulu untuk di breakout lagi supaya kita saling kenal satu sama lain. Jadi kita kasih waktu 10 menit kayak tadi ya untuk saling bercerita. Satu grup akan kita bagi 3 sampai 4 orang dan pastikan waktu 10 menit cukup untuk semua orang saling bercerita. Apa saja yang mau dibagikan? Apakah tentang hari ini, apakah tentang penemuan-penemuan, atau hal-hal yang menjadi pelajaran banget selama sebulan atau selama seminggu ini? Oke. Aku mau menyapa dulu yang paling jauh nih dari mana nih? Ada dari Bangka Belitung, ada dari Riau, ada dari mana nih? Selain itu Jakarta, Bandung, Faldo di Jakarta ya, Du?
Madura,
Iya,
Madura.
Oh
Madura,
iya,
wajib Madura.
Sumenep ya, Madura 2 orang Sumenep. Oke. Boleh kasih suara dulu. Halo. Halo Madura Sumenep.
Dari Bali.
Siapa dari Bali?
Vera.
Oh, Rera mah udah balik di Bekasi dia. Hai Yudi. Oke. Yudi dari Bangka Belitung. Hai.
Halo.
Yes.
Halo.
Siapa nih?
Des, nyalain kamera, Des.
Ya.
Cunonin kamera, please. Gue makan kue lebaran, bro. Masih ada kue lebaran gue, mau nggak?
Iya, kuenya dibagi. Oke. Bangka Belitung, Riau, mana lagi tadi? Madura, Pamulang, ya kan? Ciputat, Jogja, Rinimer dari Jogja. Mana lagi? Oke, 1.
Lo dari mana, bro?
Gue tinggal di Bandung sekarang.
Nah, Bandung.
Bandung. Mana ya? Ini, siapa ya? Dari provinsi, oke.
Salah maksudnya.
Apa?
Oh.
Oke, number 1, oke, udah. Number 2. Acara Nia. And then Osvaldo. Nomor 3.
Terus kita ngapain, Huda?
Ini aku lagi breakout room, lagi ngebagiin orang. You can talk.
Tatap aja dulu.
Iya.
Bertatap mata, bertatap hati. Meet eyes, meet heart. Hello, bye. How are you?
Come back again.
Bye. Can you speak bahasa Indonesia?
Apa kabar?
Ya, bagus.
I think
bagus,
that when the youth camp in Malang, you could sing Burung Kakak Tua song, right?
Yeah, but I forgot already the lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah, inshallah.
Do you remember the songs? Do you still remember?
Halo Kak Rini. Halo TBP ID.
Oke,
Ya.
boleh langsung share.
Yes.
Ini pakai apa nih? Bahasa Indonesia aja kan?
Yes. Ya, ya, ya. Indonesia.
Oke, terima kasih Kak Uda. Sorry gua tadi sebetulnya mau ikut sesi yang terus building, cuma memang gua ketiduran terus pas mau on lagi tengah-tengah sesi, jadi gua nggak enak interrupt gitu kan, jadi gua join pas halal bihalal aja. Jadi di grup gue tadi cuma sebentar sih, dan tadi kita baru perkenalan, terus Bay-nya ngilang karena dia lagi sharing kan, lagi ngurus anak kecil, kemudian diajak join lagi dan cerita sedikit terkait minoritas di Mindanao, dan nggak banyak sih ceritanya, cuma memang poinnya intinya di sana dia struggling, kemudian dan gue tanya juga kan waktu itu kan ada yang di FOIC 2016 temennya dari Mindanao juga, tapi yang beragama Nasrani, ya, si Patrick mungkin ada yang kenal ya. Patrick kan di Mindanao, malah kondisinya berbalik dengan si Bay. Bay ini kan Muslim di Filipina sebagai minoritas. Tapi kalau si Patrick ini di Mindanao itu dia minoritas karena di antara populasi Muslim dia Nasrani gitu. Tapi di sana toleransi gitu, masih tetap toleransinya tinggi. Jadi intinya di Mindanao, intinya kalau di tempat Bay masih menjaga toleransi dan memang masih struggling kayak kita di sini juga. Tapi kalau kita kan intensitasnya lumayan tinggi, jadi kalau di sana kan mungkin tidak seperti di Indonesia gitu kan, walaupun memang ada separatis seperti itu. Dan Bro Awen tadi apa Bro? Tadi Kak Umam juga tadi kan gue sama Kak Umam dan sama Bro Awen. Jadi nggak sempat banyak sih Bro sharing-sharingnya, karena waktunya juga terbatas ya. Itu aja. Thank you.
You can share about your